President's foreign policy has been disastrous for more than 6 years. If you're keeping score at home on this deal with Iran, feel free to add another major error in the box score labeled the failed Obama doctrine. President Obama's insistence on force-feeding a deal with Iran is troubling. The unrelenting attempt to boost his legacy has created a gross lack of discernment. The President and his State Department have left a trail of detrimental decisions with deteriorating relationships throughout the world. How can we forget the President's blurred red lines in demanding that Syria's Assad end his human rights violation? After the President drew his line in the sand, Assad responded with the bombing of hospitals and the use of chemical weapons against his own people. The President has failed to show any initiative or strategy and has consistently attempted to lead from behind. Meanwhile, of all people, Russia's Vladimir Putin was the one that intervened in this national crisis. Speaking of Putin, the President's posture with Putin has been pitiful. Of course, it was President Obama who mocked presidential candidate Mitt Romney's 1980s concern of Russia being a threat. Maybe it's time President Obama revisited Ronald Reagan's foreign policy of the 1980s. And wasn't it Vice President Joe Biden that claimed the President's work in Iraq would be one of the greatest achievements of this administration? Syria, Russia, Benghazi, Iraq, ISIS, and we're supposed to be excited about a deal with the world's leader in state-sponsored terrorism. All the while, we've given the cold shoulder to Israel, our greatest ally in the Middle East for generations. As we've listened to over the weekend, shouts from Iran, death to Israel, death to America. The great majority of Americans had hoped that our president would find the strength to increase the sanctions on Iran rather than remove them and surrender control of inspections to Iran. As a member of Congress, I will stand against any agreement that doesn't completely strip Iran of all nuclear capability. And while we're at it, Mr. President, maybe it's time to stop ignoring the imprisonment of Saeed Abedini, Jason Rezaian, Bob Levison, and Amir Hekmati, our 4 Americans in Iran. Both the House and the Senate have shown compassion and strength, demanding these Americans return home to their families. Saeed has been held for over 1,000 days while his children plead for his release. I agree with the President when he exclaimed, "We should always do everything in our power to bring these Americans home safe." Mr. President, it's time to honor the commitment you have made to these men, these families, and to all Americans. May I close with the words of the Prime Minister of Israel in agreeing that this is a mistake of historic proportion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.